What's good, people? Welcome back to another video on That FPL. It is the final That FPL show of the season. It's game week 38. It's the final day of the season on Sunday. Recording this on Friday night. I am joined by Rod once again. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, it's nice to join you, mate, for the last one. I'm a bit knackered. I had a solid gym session this morning with some deadlifts, but it's been a long season, mate, for both our clubs. And yeah, it's weird that it's the last one, but yeah, I'm not too bad, bro. Yourself?
Yeah, my season's definitely been longer than yours, son. No way yours has been longer than mine. But yeah, I am a bit tired today, but we'll battle through it. I'm really interested to get some of your thoughts on the topics surrounding the Premier League world and the fantasy world as well. So let's just go straight to the fantasy, Rod. A mare week from you, fair to say?
Yeah, mate, it was a disappointing one. On a free hit, you expect to make up some ground and at the very least get a green arrow. I made up virtually no ground and I got a red arrow from, I think it was mid 50k to 63k. I think I've basically won our league. I'm 28 points clear in the uni league, so hopefully I'll win that this weekend. But yeah, it's been a weird season. I haven't dropped out of the top 100k all year, which I guess is an achievement. But I did want to finish inside that top 50k, which I guess is still possible, providing maybe my players go ham, I guess, on the weekend. But I guess we'll see. But yeah, 60 points, 63k, one game week to go.
I mean, you put it there, to be fair, mate. You've done well in the individual leagues, and I think you're doing yourself proud in the, I guess, worldwide standings. Solid outing from you all year. I think you've probably missed out a couple times with just a few of, decisions which, in hindsight, they were the right calls. It's just didn't fall your way on the day. And I think fantasy is all about that bit of luck. I mean, you look at your team, you played the free hit for the game week 37. You have some real solid players in there for the double game weeks as well. And some players just did turn up, and some of the managers, doing their thing. I mean, if it wasn't for Richarlison, you really would have been mudded this week, to be fair.
Yeah, mate, if it wasn't for Richarlison, like logically the picks made sense. Obviously Zaha, he's been very attacking in recent weeks. He's put up a load of shots, playing 2 games, only getting me 6 points. And then like Son, you think, at home to Burnley, he's chasing the golden boot, you expect something. But yeah, I mean, 6 points from Son. Ings, I was expecting 180 minutes from, because Watkins was injured. Watkins miraculously was fit. So I think the picks were right. It's just variance was not on my side this week.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. Let's get into the table then, man. So Manchester City still ahead of Liverpool just by the 1 point. A bit of a disappointing result for them, but I think, they only have to match Liverpool's result in the end of the season. And I think they're going to be good. I mean, it was disappointed. I know your best mate had a field day against them. What did you think of the game?
I thought I didn't manage to watch the game. I don't know what I was doing. We were out with my friends.
We were.
You think West Ham, they go 2-0 up? I was like, wow. And yeah, mate, they're going to do this. And then City probably should have won the game. I mean, looking at the stats now, I'm a bit shocked, actually. This is the first time I've looked at them. 31 shots for Manchester City compared to 6 for West Ham. 8 shots on target for City compared to 2 for West Ham, which were the 2 goals. 80% possession. So, I mean, City dominated. But you can see the belief and spirit in the team, where even when they're facing austerity, into obviously 2-0 down at half-time. Adversity, sorry, not austerity.
I don't even know what austerity means, mate. I thought you was going to go with adversity. I can't even think of the word. But austerity. I got a B-Tech. But yeah.
He's got a B-Tech. But 2-0 down at half-time, you think, wow. But then they miss a penalty late on, could have won 3-2, probably should have. And like I said, it shows the belief. And obviously we have them on the weekend. Our record at the Etihad's abysmal. So if I was a Liverpool fan, I wouldn't pin anything on us getting a result there. We are going to try and look to park it, I imagine, for 90 minutes. But no teams have actually really done that against Manchester City. But I mean, it's football. Anything can happen. But if I had to, we're going to make predictions later. I think I see us losing 3 or 4-0.
I mean, fair enough. For me, I thought City did a good job getting back in the game. Obviously, they're going to be disappointed. They didn't give themselves that extra bit of margin, where they would have been 3 points clear, and they wouldn't have had to really worry about the last day of the season with goal difference. But for me, I like the Villa game for them. I think at the Etihad, it really suits them. I think Villa aren't necessarily the best team at playing a low block, which is the route most teams take to try and beat City or to get some sort of result there. But for me, it's a bit of an interesting one with the Jack Grealish. If he wins the league with City, there's an extra bonus payment out to Aston Villa. Any chances of a bit of, I don't know, Gerrard just throwing away the game, putting out the kids?
I think I can actually just debunk that. Prior to us recording, I had a look. I did a bit of research into that, and there is no money coming from that. However, if Liverpool do win the league, Wolves do get money for Diego Jota, so which is interesting. Obviously, Liverpool playing Wolves. I mean, Jack Grealish winning the title against Villa on the last day of the season. It's flipping. It's ridiculous.
Great, isn't it?
It's a fair set, eventually. But yeah, I hope we manage to do something, but I'm really not pinning any hopes on it.
I really hope you don't, man. I couldn't stand to see Liverpool lift the title again. Broke my heart the first time. But yeah. So, yeah, City, Liverpool, they was able to pick up a decent result against Southampton, and which turned out to be a bit of a weird game. They stuck out more of a reserve side, and, they went 1-0 down, but able to bring the victory back and keep their chances of the title. I mean, they are slim chances, but they're still alive.
Yeah, it was. I watched that game actually. Weird. The team they put out was essentially their reserve side. They went 1-0 down early on, and you're thinking, flipping out, what's he done here? Obviously, they come out with the win. Not convincing by any stretch, but Southampton this year are just not on it, and I think you can afford to do that at Southampton, I guess. But that puts them 1 point behind City. So I mean, they need to beat Wolves essentially, and we need to draw to City at the least. But,
yeah.
I mean, it's good that it's come down literally the last day. You can't go wrong with a bit of last day drama.
No, I think it gives more reason to look at the top. But I think it's been done for a while now. I think, the fact that Klopp put out the kids not necessarily kids, but more of a reserve side was a bit... I mean, I know he didn't have much of a choice with the injuries, but it just seemed like they didn't have that energy of a team going for a title. City could slip up. I think there's a chance if City City draw 1-1 and Liverpool win 7-0, isn't it, or something like that, but it goes to a final playoff, which I actually wouldn't mind, but I don't think it happens in a million years. But I think Liverpool tried their best this season, but they've just been beaten by the better team at the end of the day. They still could prove me wrong, but I think I did predict City winning the league this year. I think I might have gone with Liverpool third, United second, but we'll forget about that, Rob. We'll move on now to the more interesting topic for me, which is top four. We was having discussions about Arsenal last week, and after the defeat to Spurs, how were they going to recover? It turns out not very well, Rod. They looked absolutely shocking against Newcastle. And it seemed like Newcastle was the team who was actually trying to push to get into the top four, because the energy of that St. James's, home crowd was unbelievable. I thought they played the much better football of the two, and the quality of the sides looked like it was like a huge disparity. And I thought that Newcastle were by far the better team on the night.
I completely agree with you, mate. I thought, talking to my friend who's an Arsenal fan, he goes, "Oh no, it's an easy game," and I'm saying, "Bro, going away to Newcastle for the last home game is not an easy game." And like you said there, the huge gap between the two in terms of quality. Newcastle were on it from the off, thoroughly deserved it. I just was not convinced by Arsenal. And you're thinking, you're pushing for top four here. How are you not with it? The players just didn't turn up, and yeah, I thought Newcastle were brilliant. credit to Eddie Howe and his team. I mean, the way they've adapted to his tactics, style of play, etc., it has been quite phenomenal for if you are a Newcastle fan. But Arsenal, it's worrying. Obviously, they have to win against Everton, which I guess is probably more than likely going to happen because Everton are safe. But I mean, I think a couple of weeks ago I was saying, yeah, Arsenal top 4, they should get it, and they bottled it. And yeah, as an Arsenal fan, you'd be gutted. They've just been weird this year, where they beat you, they beat Chelsea, and then they lose silly games to Southampton, to Crystal Palace, to Newcastle, etc. And it's like there's just no consistency, and that's not worthy of a Champions League place.
Do you know what it is for me? I think he was right about Newcastle, and that's why Eddie Howe was my manager of the year, just because of some of the things he's done with this squad and how he's made other players look so much better. I think Joe Linton's looked like a phenomenal box-to-box target man, as I call him. But I think in terms of Arsenal, they've been... they have been inconsistent, but they have gone on runs where they've been consistent for like 5 games, and they put a string of results together and they look brilliant, and everyone's like, the mighty fucking Arsenal. But for me, I just think they actually really lack a lot of experience in the squad.
Yeah.
I think, wanting to keep the squad thin was a decision that, they've made, but I don't think it's necessarily the right one. Will they think about letting Aubameyang go in January was a mistake? I don't think so, but I think they should have been investing the money, throughout the season. I know they didn't have Champions Leagues or European football in general to attract players, but a club that size, the pool they've got is still there, in my opinion. I just think they sometimes lack something. I don't know what it is. For me, it's like when they've got players like Eddie Nketiah up top and stuff like that, and when they're missing him and they're, moaning about missing him, I don't see what other people see in him. I don't think he's someone who should be pushing for a Champions League spot at this moment in time. I don't know. It's baffling to me. I think you've seen players really being rushed into games like Saka and Martinelli, and I think they are really talented players, but I don't think they should have been pushed into first team football like this. Yes, they can get games and that, but they don't have the replacements to, if they're playing bad, to pull them out.
I completely agree with you. I think they lack quality, and because it's a young squad, they lack that experience, which is what you need at these critical stages of the season. You need people to grab the game by the scruff of the neck, show up, like the likes of Xhaka, etc. They need to lead by example. But you're competing for Champions League places. In my opinion, I think he's got talent in Nketiah, same Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe. They've got talent, but you can't be relying on these players at these stages of the season. Nketiah, a young lad, and he's trying to follow you into Champions League. It's a dream for him, but realistically, it's very difficult for it to happen. And of course, yes, he scored in the last couple of games, but regardless, you need the experience. You need that mentality that you can go ahead and win. And I was looking, I think it's just a lack of quality. I was looking at the bench, and I think Newcastle have more depth, and they were fighting for relegation not so long ago.
It's nuts, right? Because you just said that, and to think about, sorry, as my voice goes, to think about the fact that they didn't have any wins before January, and we were saying that, their team is this fucking bad. But like you said, the way they've turned it around and players' performances has gone through the roof compared to what they were, that you're saying that they have more depth than the mighty Arsenal.
I mean, they can finish 10th, Newcastle, and at Christmas they were 20th, or something ridiculous.
Isn't it?
It just shows you that you need to invest wisely. If Arsenal don't get Champions League, they've got Europa League, which I guess is still a better tournament than what they were in last year. Need to invest in their squad. You need some big players in there. Obviously, it's harder with Europa League to attract the players, but it's still a huge club in the capital of England, so you are going to have that pull. But if it as an Arsenal fan, I'd be immensely disappointed. I thought it was all but wrapped up a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't see it go any other way, and
I didn't think it was wrapped up. But I personally have just not rated this Arsenal team. And it's like what I've said is, I think, even Chelsea, Other than the top two, everyone else has really been really inconsistent.
Yeah,
And
I'm fully agreeing with you there. Where it seems like no one has wanted that champions
it
top.
shouldn't. They shouldn't have had a chance this season when you look at it
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
reality, what other teams have spent. I mean, you look at Spurs as well. They're going to finish in that top four, but they look like a top four team with some of the players they have at their, disposal. But for me, you look at that Arsenal squad, it's night and day to Tottenham. And I think the experience of the manager plays a big part in that as well. I think the fact that Spurs did go and get Conte, it's really paid dividends. And I think, the game against Burnley on Sunday was a bit of a squeaky one for them, but, they got the job done. And for me, I think they deserve top four. And Arsenal fans are moaning a lot, and I understand the performance was bad. But I also think these players have kind of been run into the ground all season long without, and they haven't even been playing in other competitions. It's just been the fact that they've been playing Premier League consistently with the same starting 11. They haven't got they don't even have the talent off the bench really to bring on, in my opinion. I think that they need a lot of investment still. The centre backs I thought was, they just didn't look at the races. They were, I know there was that they're not really fit at the moment, coming off injuries and stuff like that. And that's what I mean. They just don't have that depth. Whereas like a Spurs, I mean, even though I don't rate Emerson Royale, he's still a decent backup option. It's touch and go, is it? I mean, come on. In terms of like, who Arsenal are bringing in Tavares?
I mean, in comparison to Arsenal, yeah. Like, obviously, we're going to get onto Spurs now. I think Spurs have a better squad. They have a better manager. But once again, they've been so inconsistent. And like we said a few minutes ago, no one has wanted that fourth place. And it's just been who's been the least shit. And so far, it looks like it's going to be Spurs. And like you said about depth, and I completely agree with you. Like Spurs, I mean, obviously Romero's injured. They can bring in Davinson Sanchez, which I don't mind. Obviously Doherty got injured. They brought in Royale, which is still better than what Arsenal have. And yeah, they've got replacements all across the field, I'd say. Yeah. I mean, they've got Bergwijn, Lucas Moura on the bench, etc. So I think they've got a better squad. And for that reason, they're probably going to have top four. And their manager.
It's when they're bringing on Cedric and stuff like that. That's when I'm like, Tomiyasu, I think, was a brilliant signing for Arsenal. Yeah. Coming off of Cedric, it's a big deal. And, maybe it's unfair to say Arsenal have bottled it because, like I said before, they had no right to be in this position before the season started. They lost their first 3 games. They looked like shit. And, I know they're going to be disappointed in the team, but in all honesty, it has been a step forward this season. I think you've learned a lot about the players that you've got, which ones that, maybe you want to let go. But I think you do see a lot of room for improvement. I think that centre-back position needs one more signing, not necessarily a first-team player if you want to stick with White and Gabriel, but I think you need a bit of experience off the bench. I think Rob Holding showed in the Spurs game that he's not really an Arsenal player. I think they need a couple fullbacks, to be honest. I think Tierney seems to be quite injury prone. I mean, the list goes on for me, but it's not that I don't rate the players that they got, because I do. It's just the fact that they're so far off the pace when it comes to depth and strength and depth. I mean, you look at Liverpool, they struggled a few years ago with it, but now they've got a strong bench, and I think they're a better team for it.
Yeah, 100%. You need, I mean, similar with Leeds, what we're going to get onto shortly. In the Premier League, due to the intensity, you need players that come off the bench, have an impact. If say you get injuries, you need to be able to replace these players with similar standard players. Maybe not as good, hence why they're not starting, but of similar standard and people pushing for starts. So depth is huge in the Premier League, and you need a big squad. It's not the same league it was a few years ago, and especially next year with the introduction of 5 substitutions, where these elite teams can bring on 5 very good players. And
City are going to be ridiculous.
Other teams are going to be struggling to bringing on 18, 19-year-olds. So, yeah, I think we're going to see a larger divide between the top half and the bottom half of the table, and that's why recruitment's even more important in the summer. There's more opportunities for players now.
Yeah, you made a really good point there, to be fair. Let's move down the table, the relegation battle. Let's start with Everton, because, it was a really disappointing game against Brentford. They had the red card, and they were up, weren't they? I need to refresh my memory on this game a bit, but yeah. So yeah, they went 1-0 up in the 10th minute, and then it was the red card to Jared Braithwaite, or Branthwaite. Yeah, but that was a ridiculous sending off. I don't understand. Like, I know the amount of pressure.
Goal scoring opportunity, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'd rather concede a goal than put my team under that much pressure for the rest of the game. And then we had the Rondon sending off late on as well. But I thought Brentford looked good, to be fair. I think Christian Eriksen's proven to be a great signing for him. But yeah, Everton were able to somehow bounce back from this defeat, which looked like a very winnable game for them in terms of the games that they had left. But they was able to pick up a victory the other night in spectacular fashion. Went 2-0 down to Crystal Palace, brought it back late on. Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the end, finishing it off. A couple real scrappy goals, but I think they really earned their luck in the game, so to say. But the aftermath of this game with the pitch invasion, fucking people abusing Patrick Vieira, and then he's pulling out some inside leg trips and shit on them. I thought it was quite interesting.
Yeah, I'll put a question to you. Do you think Lampard's done a good job?
No.
I don't think he's done a great job yet. I think I've seen all over my Twitter timeline what a great job, and I'm thinking he took over them in 16th. He's left them at 16th. With that squad, I think they've got a fairly decent squad. They shouldn't be fighting for relegation. They had the whole of January to bring in some players, brought in players who have had almost zero. Obviously, they're safe now and good on them, but I don't think he's done a great job. And as a Villa fan, I was in this exact position a couple of years ago. It came down to a couple of the last games of the season, and I can imagine the relief in the Everton community now. And what was I going to say? But yeah, it's in that. Those players should not have been in that position, and I think what has saved them is playing at home, because when Goodison Park gets behind you, it's absolutely bonkers, and having enough home games, I think, has saved them. But has Lampard done a good job? For me, he hasn't.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you made a good point. They did have not necessarily a favourable run towards the end, but I think the amount of home games they had, obviously they've got an amazing fan base, and they really showed up for them, and I think they definitely spurred the team on. But I agree. I don't think Frank's done a good job, but I don't think he's done a bad job either. I think I didn't like the idea of him taking the job. I thought it was really risky, considering the fact, how it ended at Chelsea. It wasn't the nicest way. He seemed to be losing the dressing room a bit, he kind of putting the blame on players. And I thought it was a risky move. I don't necessarily think he's gotten anything out of the squad which wasn't really being shown before. I know Rafa, it was a bad period and the football was very shit, but it's not exactly night and day. I think next season it's going to be interesting to see him get another transfer window with the club. Obviously, he came late on in January, right? So I'd be interested to see what sort of direction he looks to take Everton. Obviously, they're big spenders. I think they're going to have a couple problems with money, if I'm correct, something to do with financial fair play. But, I'd like to see what sort of signings he looks to make for the squad, because I think we looked at them at the start of the season and we was actually really impressed with Everton. The midfield of Doucouré and Allen looked insane. You saw Damari Gray, who for the first couple months of the Premier League was on fire. Obviously, they struggled with injuries, but I'm interested to see what they can do. I did actually want them to go down because I thought it'd be funny, but I'm kind of glad they're still here, I guess.
I'd rather them up than Leeds. But Everton, yeah, I think, like I said, I think the home run has saved them. For me, on paper, I think they've got a pretty good, decent squad. Their defence, for me, is rather questionable. That needs some serious investment.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I think Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, two solid attacking players. You got Damari Gray. I think you could probably still get some out of Dele Alli. Obviously, Van der Beek will go back to United. Doucouré, Allan. But yeah, the goalkeeper is solid. I think Pickford's been solid for them this year, but our defence needs some investment. But yeah, Everton are up, well, staying up, but now puts us on to Leeds and Burnley, which is both on the same amount of points down to the last day. How do you see it going?
Yeah, it's a bit of a nuts one, isn't it? So Leeds got they could have done with the win, to be honest, but I mean, I guess you take the point looking back on it now. But Burnley slipping up against Spurs, and which was quite a tight game, and not necessarily tight, but it was an anxious sort of game. But for Burnley to get another point as well last night against you lot, I think it puts them right in the driver's seat now. They only have to match Leeds United, and we got to look at the fixtures. Burnley are playing against
Newcastle at home.
Leeds United, Brentford away. I tell you which fixture I'd rather have. I'd rather have Brentford away, if I'm being honest. But
Newcastle at home, 100%.
Are you serious?
I think a home game when you're fighting for relegation, I think, is ideal. Newcastle away from home, I don't rate as highly. Brentford at home, they're going to want to put on a show. Last game in the of the season, I'd personally prefer the Newcastle at home.
I think Newcastle are the more informed team. I think their players have been, I think Brentford have been good recently as well. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like with Newcastle, I feel like they still got something to prove, and I think they'd really like to get that 10th spot.
So if we look at in terms of the last 5 games, Brentford have won, lost, drawn, 1. Newcastle have won, lost, 1-1. So they've both got 3 wins, but Brentford getting a draw. So Brentford technically the team on form, winning the last 2.
I mean, look at the competition.
You've seen Burnley though. Burnley have when we played them away, I think 12 days ago, didn't think we were that good. We came away 3-1. And yesterday, I think we were dominated. We had so many shots. Nick Pope was prime Shilton. They got a penalty. To be honest, I wasn't really asked too much about the game because I want to see Leeds go down. So I would have even lost. I wasn't bothered at all. But to see us, obviously, I think we played quite well. Narrowly missing out on the win.
I would like to make a point about the games. I feel like Burnley aren't a stylistic matchup, which is like really troubling for Newcastle. Whereas I think Newcastle could be troublesome for them. I think Brentford slightly play into Leeds' hands. I think at home, Brentford probably going to look to go on the attack a bit more. And I think it's going to open the game up for Leeds. And I think Leeds getting behind a couple of times. I'm not sure, prediction-wise right now who I would predict to go down. I'd probably still go with Leeds. But I do feel like stylistically, the Leeds game is more suited towards them rather than the Burnley Newcastle.
I think we'd get a big moment. Weghorst! 93rd minute, Val Weghorst is going to score a bicycle kick.
Well, I was talking to you about football conspiracies, and talking about a conspiracy in football, the QPR, I saw this video about it the other day, of when QPR conceded when the game was drawn, and then they got kickoff. They literally just passed the ball back to City for him to go and score again. It's fucking ridiculous. But me and Rod are going to be doing a series on the channel probably over the summer now where we are going to be looking at some football conspiracies, some of the wackiest shit in the world of football, and hopefully we can have some fun with it. I do look forward to that, Rod.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, mate. We've got a long summer ahead of us.
Yeah, we do. But yeah, what do you think then? Your prediction right now? Well, actually, you know what? Let's save it, man. It's the end of the season. Let's do our final fixtures prediction. We'll leave the Brentford, Leeds, and the Newcastle, Burnley to last. So we'll start with Arsenal against Everton, already up. So what do you think? Everton get another win or battered?
No, I think it's going to be a simple 2-0 Arsenal. And I was going to ask you, which game of the 3 are you watching?
I'll watch the 2 relegation games and the United game.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm going to go with Arsenal 2-0. I think it's going to be Everton are going to be on the beach. They're probably going to go a bit mad on the weekend. I probably would in their position, to be honest. So yeah, 2-0 Arsenal, I think.
I'm going to go with draw, mate. I just don't think Arsenal have got the they've definitely looked mentally drained, even if not physically drained, which is kind of a backwards one because they haven't played as many games of football as everyone else, but they just do look like a tired team. I think it's going to be a draw, and I think it's going to take the pressure off Spurs. They'll be, hearing in the dressing rooms that, Everton are 1-0 up. Arsenal score a goal in like the 70th minute, but they won't get a winner. So I'm going to go 1-1. Like I said, we'll leave Leeds, Brentford, Brighton, West Ham. I think two teams who have had. I think Brighton will probably be a bit. I think they thought they could have probably gone a bit higher this year. West Ham as well. I think they feel, well, at one point it looked like they were still in the race for Champions League. But overall, Rod, what do you think this game's going to turn out to be?
It's going to be interesting. So, West Ham, I mean, they could still get Europa League if they manage to get a result and Man United lose.
They can have it. I want the conference, mate. That's where all the good games happen.
I'm going to go with a 1-1.
Okay. I'm going to go with a West Ham win here. I think Brighton have looked good of late. I think West Ham put up a solid fight against City. I'm going to go with a West Ham win. Jared Bowen hat-trick, 3-1. Then Chelsea-Watford. I think Chelsea looked decent last night, actually. Despite drawing 1-1 with Leicester, in which was a dead game. I thought Reece James looked pretty decent. Marcus Alonso with a really nice goal. I'm going to go with a Chelsea win to send Watford back down to the Championship. So cheerio to them.
So, obviously, this is going to be a farewell for a few players. Rudiger, Christensen, Alonso.
Ben Foster.
So, yeah, it's going to be a farewell for a few players. I think a Chelsea captain choice this week isn't a miss, really. I think I might go Mason Mount. He is in my thoughts. But Watford have been simply abysmal these last few games. I mean, since relegation's been confirmed, they've been horrific.
Since the start of the season.
Since
Disco Cisco was in. It's just been downhill since then. Three managers.
I'm going to have to go 3-0 Chelsea.
Okay. What did I say?
You can give it.
I don't want to. No. I'll go Chelsea 4-0. Crystal Palace against United. Rod, I'll start this one off. I'm going to say that Crystal Palace get a result here. I'm going to go 2-1 Crystal Palace.
I can see that. Obviously, Palace's last home game in front of the Selhurst Park fans. Man United, I think I saw on Twitter that you're not going to do an awards evening because the players are too embarrassed, and rightly so. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Crystal Palace.
I mean, David De Gea doesn't want to win his 100th player of the season for United. It's embarrassing that he's won so many. But yeah, I think, I just don't think United have shown much improvement, even with the news of Ten Hag coming in. So yeah, Leicester against Southampton. I'm going to go with probably a Southampton win here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think they've been dog shit, but I don't rate. I just don't rate Leicester this year. I'm going to go 2-1 Southampton.
I'm with you. Leicester, for me, I don't really rate them either. They've just been really weird. Huge thing for me, I took Maddison out on the free hit because I was unsure of his game time. He ends up scoring 25 points. So I've got a bit of a hatred towards Leicester now. But I think Ralph Hasenhuttl, I think he gets sacked at the end of the year. Everton may be finishing on more points than them, which would be a bit of a story. I think it's going to be 2-0 Leicester.
Yeah, it's a sad one as well because I really like James Ward-Prowse, and I think looking back, that contract extension is going to be probably a regret of his, because I think that move to Villa would be a tasty one. I think with you looking to go into European football in the future, him and the team, I just rate him so highly. Liverpool Wolves, and how's the title going to play out? I think that Liverpool struggle, but they get over the line and they win 2-0 in the end. I
think it is going to be mad because, I mean, if Liverpool go ahead, everyone in that crowd is going to be constantly checking that Manchester City game. I think obviously they have a capacity of just over 50k. I think a good 45k of those fans are constantly going to be on their phones checking. I think Liverpool win. I think Wolves, I mean, they've had a bit of a weird season. I haven't particularly enjoyed watching them. I think 8th is quite a big achievement for Wolves, considering they had to bring in a load of players. Well, considering they brought in a few players, new manager, etc. But I think Liverpool win 2-0 here. Yeah.
Well, after watching their celebrations winning the FA Cup in the pub we was in, I hope they get fucking battered, to be honest, because...
Liverpool fans live in Hereford, it turns out.
A lot. City against Aston Villa, I think City get it done, man. I think it's not as pretty as they want it to be, but I'm going to go 1-0 City.
I will be watching this game, and if we do get slapped, that TV will be going off as soon as the whistle goes. I am not seeing any celebrations. I think they're going to slap us 4-0. It's going to be, they're just going to have a party on the field as soon as they get their first goal. So I think 4-0, I'm really not looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a shame it's not tomorrow, really. It would have been decent so we wouldn't have to pay too much attention to it while we're going out. Norwich against Spurs, Rod. I think Norwich, one last hurrah. But it's not good enough. I'm going to go with 3-1 Spurs.
Yeah, Spurs, they need basically all they have to do, a draw, and they even if Arsenal win, they have the superior goal difference. So
I think they have to win 17-0 or something like that.
I think it's going to be 3-1 Spurs. Sonny, he's a goal behind Salah. It's going to be interesting to see who does get that golden boot. But yeah, I'm going to go 3-1.
Does Kane give him the penalties?
I think Conte actually asked that question today, and he said Kane is our penalty taker, and the team is first. So I guess it's up to Kane, and you'd hope he will.
Fuck off, Antonio. Stop being boring. Right, Rod, relegation. Let's start off with Burnley as they're in front. They're at home against Newcastle. What result are you looking at here? Personally, I think it's going to be a 2-1 Newcastle win.
And I was being rather confident earlier, saying this is the better fixture for the relegation battle. I'm not so confident now. I also do agree with you. I do think it's going to be 2-1 Newcastle.
Have I changed your mind, Rob?
But obviously the next game, even though it's 2-1 Newcastle, I think Brentford win 2-1. So that will send Leeds down.
Nah, man.
So 2-1 Brentford, 2-1 Newcastle.
I was singing, don't you know, pump it up. The Burnley are staying up for like months before. But because they sacked Deitch, it's going to bite him in the ass. And, you know, I think Leeds get it done against Brentford. I think the style of play suits them more. I think you'll see Brentford look to go on the offensive more, especially being at home last year of the season. Put on a bit of a show for the crowd. And I think they catch them on the break. I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds United. And they're still up. But a lot of investment will be needed next season if they do stay up.
Don't you think it is a bit crazy that, obviously I completely agree they need huge investment, but how it could be decided on goal difference, going down on goal difference, that'd be an absolute shocker. But I mirror that point. They need at least 5 players to come in, and they need to be
I thought he was going to say something different now. I thought he was going to say they need at least 500 million poured into that squad.
They probably need a good couple 100 million. I don't know if the owners have that, but yeah, they need some players. Will they stay up?
It could be devastating if they go down. The fact that they could lose Phillips and Rafinha for a combined 50 million.
Yeah, Rafinha's going regardless.
Yeah, but it's the fact of the clause in his contract, how much money they'd lose. It would be, devastating to them. But the way we see it playing out, Rod, well, we see it differently. You see Burnley staying up. I see Leeds staying up. We both agree in the fact that Arsenal are not going to get top 4. It's going to be Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, with City winning the league on the last day of the season.
A good point to make is, though, I think if Leeds manage to keep their cool in 30 minutes and fucking not get anyone sent off early days, then they should be okay. But I think the pressure's on Leeds here, because Burnley, they've been in this position on a yearly basis. The players have gone through it, and I think they know what it takes. Whereas Leeds, they're not going to want to disappoint those fans, and obviously it's taken them 16 years to come up. They had a great season last year. They're not going to want to go back down, so there's a lot of pressure on Leeds, less so on Burnley.
I agree, so I think the expectations as well of the clubs, I think Leeds were expected to be a big team, whereas Burnley aren't, and it's just nuts. But I'm looking forward to it, Rod. I can't wait to go out with you tomorrow and have a couple double pinters. Follow Rod on Twitter at FBL double pinter. Yeah, and guys, thanks for watching. It's been really fun doing this with Rod. Basically every week we've only missed one FPL game week, which I think was pretty good because it was we almost got the time to do it, but we didn't. But thanks for watching. We did have a comment last week from John. Thanks for agreeing with me, John, because I'm always right and Rod will always be wrong. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks, Rod, for joining me again.
As always, mate, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, mate. So yeah, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment down below letting us know who goes down and why. And we'll see you next week where we'll be doing our review of the season. So thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you later. Peace out. Up the Villa.